If you are someone who procrastinates a lot, for example, you start watching this video and midway you are like, that's not urgent, so I'll do it some other time. You want to achieve great things in life. However, when it comes to focusing on things, for some reason you're not able to do that, then these 10 minutes will definitely change the way you approach your work, your studies, or anything else in life as well. These are going to be very practical and implementable steps that you can implement from today itself, and I can guarantee you, if you are someone who is very ambitious, you are going to thank me in 2 weeks because you would have changed your approach towards life.
Pull up with the flow that's mad. Pull up with the flow that's crazy. Do it so good that's sad. Yeah, cut out the two just.
Let's start with a simple example. Suppose I tell you that tomorrow you have a maths test and I will ask questions from percentages chapter. In all probability, you might end up studying really well for the examination and end up scoring better than the other students. However, if I tell you that 1 month later, I'm going to conduct an examination on these 10 topics, then it might happen that 3 weeks you have studied nothing and on the last week you start panicking because there's so much to cover. And what happens is someone who is probably not as smart as you ends up scoring better in the examination because they happen to be consistent through the month. So why does this happen? Because some of our brains are optimized to work under deadlines, and when we see that there is no deadline or the deadline is really far, we are not able to make that calculation. For example, going to the gym, starting to eat healthy, there's no deadline for these tasks, and hence we will keep procrastinating till it becomes an absolute necessity. So what's the solution to this? Very simple. You have to train your mind to create artificial deadlines. For example, 10 chapters to be covered in 1 month. We will divide this task into smaller chunks, that is 3 chapters in first week, 3 in the second one, 3 in the third week, and 1 in the final week. So what we have done is divided the larger task into smaller chunks and also made sure that we create artificial deadlines for each of these chapters. So we know that if we have not completed the first 3 chapters in the first week, our brain will hit that panic button in the first week itself and not in the final week. So that is what we have to do, and it's a very simple funda. Just divide your larger task into very smaller chunks. Don't look at the larger picture, rather look at those smaller chunks and create artificial deadlines for those smaller chunks. Next actionable point is around rewards and gratification. Just imagine, why does someone study so well and hard for examinations like JEE and CAT? Obviously to get a good percentile and to get into a good college. But the problem with this is it's a very long-term reward. You prepare for a year or two and then you get this reward, which is very long-term. But everyone's mind is optimized for that short-term reward. We just scroll through Instagram and get that instant dopamine hit. That's what we want. We put our money on a gambling app and it has the potential of getting doubled in 2-3 hours. Then that is something that is giving us a short-term reward, and that's why we are so inclined towards them. But most good things in life will only come in the long term, and that's why you have to change this habit. And how can you change that? It's also very simple. You have to give yourself immediate rewards or immediate punishment. It's exactly the opposite of rewards. So rewards will give you satisfaction, and punishment can also induce fear, which can also work in your favor if you want to discourage yourself from doing certain tasks or not repeating a certain habit. Suppose you are preparing for an examination like CAT or any other competitive examination. Now all the students who prepare for these examinations give mock tests before the exam. Now what you can do is make a group of friends who are equally serious about the exam and start sharing your mock test marks, and whoever doesn't share it for a particular exam has to give everyone in the group a treat. So that what that means is you have to appear for the mock test for sure, and you also have to share your marks. That makes you feel guilty. You cannot look foolish in front of your friends. So instead of having a longer deadline, the larger deadline, that is your examination, you start having these smaller deadlines of mock tests as well. You have to prepare for that mock test as well, because you cannot, that will make you feel guilty if you score low in front of your friends, right? That's why these mock tests also start becoming important, and you start taking more accountability, and ultimately you convert these into short-term punishments instead of a long-term punishment where you just don't do well in an examination, you don't get into a good college. It's very long-term. Rather, every time that you appear for a mock, you are facing this kind of a punishment. Now you can just tweak your rewards or punishment for anything that you're going to do in life, and you can see the benefit. But मान लो आपने ये सब कुछ कर लिया, आर्टिफिशियल डेडलाइंस बना लिए, स्मॉलर चंक्स में ब्रेक डाउन कर लिया आपने टाइम टेबल को, उसके साथ साथ आपने ऐसे पनिशमेंट्स एंड रिवॉर्ड्स भी सेट कर लिए, बट somehow you're not able to start your particular task that you aspired for. What can you do in such a situation? The next 2 tips I'm going to share tell you will definitely help you here. One is just initiate the task for 2 minutes. Whenever your mind tells you to procrastinate, just remind yourself of this video. Just remind yourself that Anand told me that in such a situation, whenever this kind of situation occurs, I have to initiate my task for 2 minutes at least. And you will see that 2 minutes was the actual hurdle. After that, even sitting for 30 minutes, 1 hour is not going to hurt you. But those 2 minutes of initiating task was the actual bottleneck. Next is remove the clutter that is stopping you from doing your task. And this is something that has personally helped me. When I was preparing for CAT, I had a job as well. Whenever I returned from job, I was so tired. I never did any study. I had made a lot of plans that I'll complete these chapters after coming from work, but because I was so tired, I never opened my books. I did one simple change that absolutely cured my procrastination. That was before going for work, I used to set everything on my table or on my bed. Whichever chapter I'm going to study, I used to keep the notebook, I used to keep that book as well. I used to keep my pen and everything on the table or on my bed itself, so that as soon as I come from my work, everything is ready. I don't have to think that what I have to study today. I don't have to think where are my books, where is my notebook, where is my pen, and everything. Everything is ready on the table. I just have to start studying. And this one simple change absolutely changed the process. Almost 95% days, I definitely ended up studying what I had planned for. So what exactly was stopping me? It was these clutters around me. To start studying, I have to pull the table towards me, clean the table, then take out the books and put it on the table. This 5 minute of activity was stopping my 2 hours of study time. And once this was changed, it absolutely changed my process. That's why whatever you're doing in life, remove those clutters that are stopping you. If it's your phone, keep it outside your room where you're doing the focus work. If you are going to study but your table is messy and every time you have to clean your table before you start studying, do that at least 1 hour before your study time. You will see once you have removed these clutters from your life, you will start becoming more proactive. Now suppose you have implemented everything but nothing is working. You have to use your final weapon, that is to make yourself feel guilty about not doing things. And that is also very simple. For example, in content creation, when I was procrastinating a lot in creating these videos, what I used to do is I just used to go and announce to everyone on YouTube, Instagram, wherever it is, that I'm going to release this particular video on this date. Then no matter whatever happens, I have to record this video, because then it makes me feel guilty. It makes me accountable to my audience. So that really worked for me in content creation. So if you want to read say 50 books in a year, you can go on LinkedIn and tell that I'm going to read 50 books every week. I'm going to share a summary of the book that I've read as well. So that is something that will hold you accountable, and that will make you feel guilty as well if you're going to skip certain days. At the same time, you can also take smaller tasks to make yourself feel guilty. If you don't want to go to that extreme of announcing it to the world, you just make a timetable. And that's why we ask people to make timetables as well. You just make a timetable of the task that you're going to do this particular week or the next day, whatever task you're going to do. And every day, keep it in front of you on the table, or wherever you can want to stick, you can stick that as well. Now, keep checking off the tasks that you are doing. Now, whenever you see that there are a lot of days or a lot of weeks where you have not ticked out majority of the things, you will start feeling guilty automatically, because that's there right in front of your eyes, and that is telling you that you planned for these tasks but you did not complete it. And days on days, if it keeps happening, weeks on weeks, if it keeps happening, it will definitely disturb you. So the idea is simple: to make your procrastination visible, and that visibility will keep you accountable. I hope you will start implementing all the points that I mentioned in the video and change the way you approach things. That's it for this particular video. See you in the next one.